Welcome to Mukesh Manoharan Studio. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel and press the bell icon before we proceed. Picture this if you will. It's late at night. The world outside your window has finally gone quiet. But inside your mind, well, there's a deafening roar of information. You're lying in bed, the blue light of your smartphone casting this pale, ghostly glow across your face as your thumb absent-mindedly swipes up, up, and up. With every single flick of the screen, you are confronted by a new, glowing, perfectly filtered face, and they're all promising you that they and only they hold the ultimate secret to human vitality. It seems like every week, the internet crowns a brand new champion of wellness, pitching some magical routine that guarantees to completely overhaul your life by next Tuesday. Honestly, it is just exhausting. The pursuit of health has somehow morphed into this high-stakes, hyper-competitive sport, and it leaves the rest of us, just ordinary people, feeling completely overwhelmed and perpetually stuck behind the starting line.
Okay, let's dive into this. The internet, as we know, absolutely thrives on the promise of the overnight miracle. It feeds on the spectacular, the dramatic, the shocking transformation. But what if we just stepped away from that blinding spotlight for a moment? What if we quieted the noise, took a deep breath, and asked a profound yet incredibly simple question? What actually happens when you stop chasing miracles? Like, what happens when you abandon the desperate search for a magic pill, a secret routine, or some sort of life-hacking shortcut, and instead you embrace the quiet, unglamorous reality of an ordinary person just trying to stay consistent? You see, this isn't a story about a superhuman athlete or some eccentric billionaire with a dedicated team of biohackers. No, this is the honest and, quite frankly, sometimes messy journey of testing just one simple thing. It's about seeing what happens when the dust finally settles, the hype fades, and all you have left is your own quiet daily commitment.
Because, let's face it, if you spend more than 5 minutes online these days, you know exactly what I am talking about. We are constantly bombarded by this modern arsenal of wellness. The expectations are just relentless. You're told you must jolt awake at 5 a.m. in the pitch black, you have to immediately chug warm lemon water, endure the bone-chilling shock of a freezing cold shower, which, let's be honest with ourselves, sounds completely miserable. Starve yourself through hours of intermittent fasting, sit in absolute Zen-like meditation, meticulously track exactly 10,000 steps, and banish every single granule of sugar from your entire existence. Now, individually, these are perfectly fine practices, but collectively, they form this paralyzing cacophony of expectations. Just scrolling through these mandates creates a heavy, suffocating pressure on our chests. It makes us feel like if we aren't doing all of it perfectly every single day, well, we're failing. It's a relentless noise that often leaves us feeling like trying it all is just a monumental waste of time.
And that brings us to a really fascinating trap. A trap where almost all of us find ourselves stuck. It's the massive, cavernous gap between what we know we should do and what we actually do. It's the silent battle between our knowledge and our consistency.
Here is the harsh, deeply uncomfortable truth about that gap. We already possess the knowledge. You really don't need another self-proclaimed guru or a viral TikTok trend to tell you that moving your body, eating a few more vegetables, and getting a decent night's sleep is good for you. You know that. The failure isn't in our understanding, the breakdown is in our execution. And when the guilt of that inconsistency inevitably creeps in, what do? We reach for our favorite, most comforting lie. I'll start next Monday. I'll begin right after this huge project at work is finished. I'll finally get my health together when things just slow down and become a little less busy. We have all been there. It is a natural defense mechanism to protect our fragile egos from the pain of failing today. But here is the stark, inescapable reality: life never actually gets less busy. The inbox never stays at zero for long. Realizing that the perfect time is a ghost that will never actually arrive. That is exactly why the decision was made to brutally cut through the noise and try something radically different.
The antidote to all that overwhelming complexity turned out to be stunningly simple: one single rule. And as we unpack this commitment together, if you are finding some value or a quiet resonance in this journey, please take a quick moment to subscribe, like, and share the channel. It really helps us continue bringing these stories to you. So, what was the rule? It was the powerful, terrifying choice to follow just one healthy habit every single day without skipping. No excuses.
Let's move to and see how this builds, because as anyone who has tried to change their life knows, the trajectory of any new habit is rarely a straight line upwards. The decision was made to strip away all the complex fasting windows and the miserable ice baths and just choose one healthy thing for 30 days. Now, day one? Day one is intoxicating. It's filled with that crisp, energetic excitement of a totally fresh start. You tie your shoes with absolute vigor, you step outside, and you feel completely invincible. But then, the honeymoon abruptly ends. By day 7, the sky is gray. The alarm clock sounds downright hostile. You're just tired. And this is where the true mental battle begins. The physical act is no longer new or fun, it is now just work. But here's the beautiful part. As you push through that heavy friction, reaching day 14, the landscape slowly changes again. The intense, fiery resistance begins to soften, melting into the quiet, unassuming, and comfortable rhythm of a daily routine.
But right there, right in that fragile transition between the excitement of the start and the security of the routine is exactly where we usually stumble. Because the resistance doesn't arrive with a loud, dramatic crash. It doesn't scream at you. It arrives as a soft, highly reasonable whisper in the very back of your mind. It says, "Missing one day won't matter. You worked so hard yesterday. Look, it's raining outside. You deserve a break. I really want you to pause and think about this for a second. The biggest hurdle in our everyday lives isn't a physical battle against the elements, and it's not some grand test of muscular strength. It is simply an intense, intimate mental fight against our own comfortable rationalizations. Your mind is brilliantly designed by evolution to conserve energy and keep you perfectly safe on the couch. Fighting that voice, looking right at the excuse, recognizing its seductive logic, and choosing to step out the door anyway, is arguably the hardest work you will ever do.
But if you can win that quiet battle, something extraordinary happens. An invisible transformation takes root deep within your mindset. By the time you hit that second week, the internal arguments just start to quiet down.
If you can just walk through that mental fire without turning back, the habit seamlessly weaves itself into your day, becoming as natural and thoughtless as brewing your morning coffee. Look at the contrast here on the screen. It is brilliant because it perfectly captures the absolute essence of human change. You see, when we start a new habit, we tend to view it as this external garment we are putting on. We tell our friends, "I am trying to be healthy." And we use the word trying because deep down, we still view our core selves as the person who inevitably fails. But when you cross that invisible threshold of pure consistency, the effort transforms into natural behavior. You no longer have to try. You drop the act, the internal struggle fades, and you simply become someone who makes healthier choices. It's a profound shift. Your identity changes from the person who constantly struggles to the person who just does.
I want to just let this emotional realization breathe for a moment. From a very young age, we are conditioned to believe that confidence is this shiny trophy waiting at the finish line. We think, I will finally feel confident when I lose the weight, when I secure that massive promotion, when the crowd finally cheers for me. But true, deep, unshakable confidence doesn't always come from winning. It doesn't come from the grand final result that everyone else sees. Sometimes, and perhaps most importantly, it comes purely from the gritty, unglamorous act of showing up. It comes from looking yourself in the mirror at the end of a long day and knowing that when you make a promise to yourself, you actually keep it. Keeping a simple, daily promise fundamentally changes your internal self-worth. You learn to trust yourself again. And honestly, there's no feeling in the entire world quite as powerful as that.
But let's stay grounded because the reality of the middle of this journey is where the true test lies. It's where we learn that consistency will always triumph over perfection. And as we delve into the messy reality of the middle, just a smooth, gentle reminder to subscribe and share this journey if it's resonating with you. We'd love to have you along for the ride.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the stark contrast it paints. Let's not romanticize the journey too much, because a 30-day commitment is paved with messy, unpredictable reality. Look at the curated fiction of the internet versus the breathing truth of reality. Social media, as we know, trades entirely in the currency of the before and after. They show you a picture of misery and then boom, a picture of absolute, flawless perfection, completely erasing the difficult middle. They erase the days filled with late-night office parties, exhausting delayed travel, and unexpected family setbacks. By hiding the struggle, they sell you a very dangerous lie, the lie that success should be easy. But true discipline isn't forged on perfect days when the sun is shining and you've had 8 hours of sleep and you feel great. No, true, lasting discipline is forged in the fires of the ordinary, difficult days. It's forged when your schedule is torn to shreds, nobody is watching, you're exhausted, and you just find a way to do the work anyway.
So, when the 30 days finally come to an end, what remains? The narrative focus shifts toward the enduring wisdom gathered from this single commitment. There are 3 lifelong lessons that emerge from the dust of this experiment.
The first lesson goes against absolutely everything the modern fitness and productivity industries try to sell us. It's simple. Consistency beats intensity every single time. We have been brainwashed to think we need flawlessly executed, extremely intense days to make any real progress. We think if we can't do a grueling 1-hour workout, there's no point in a 10-minute walk. But life isn't perfect. If you demand absolute perfection from yourself, you will inevitably quit the exact moment you fall short. The secret is that you don't need perfect days. You just need repeated days. You need the courage to embrace a B- day, where you just go through the motions, give whatever little energy you have, and get it done, rather than doing nothing at all. A small, imperfect action repeated daily will move literal mountains over a lifetime, while a massive burst of extreme intensity will often just leave you burned out and back on the couch.
The second lesson is honestly a heartfelt plea for patience in a world that aggressively demands instant gratification. Progress is often entirely, completely invisible before it becomes glaringly obvious. Think of a tiny seed planted in the dark earth. For weeks, maybe even months, absolutely nothing happens on the surface. It looks like a failure. But beneath the soil, roots are pushing deep, expanding, building a resilient foundation strong enough to support the sudden, miraculous burst of growth that is about to come. Your body and your mind work the exact same way. You must keep going, even when the bathroom mirror refuses to reflect your effort, even when the scale is frustratingly frozen. The tiny improvements are compounding in the dark. You have to trust the unseen work, because one day the results will break through the surface and it will seem like it happened overnight.
So the crucial point is this third and final realization. It completely flips our entire understanding of goals on its head. We start these habits because we want the outcome, right? We want the physical strength, the glowing skin, the endless energy. But by the time you reach the end of the journey, you realize the ultimate reward isn't the physical health at all. The true lasting reward is the transformation of your very character. The habit changes you deeply on a psychological level. You are no longer someone who passively wishes they were better. You are someone who actively shapes their own life. You become a person of profound integrity with yourself. You realize that the physical outcome you chased was merely a pleasant side effect of the incredibly resilient, dedicated person you had to become in order to achieve it.
And now the narrative shifts from this story directly to yours. I am issuing a direct, sincere challenge to you right here, right now. Stop trying to follow 10 different viral trends. Stop exhausting yourself. Stop waiting for that magical, perfect Monday that, let's be honest, will never arrive. Instead, I want you to embark on your own quiet journey of consistency. Choose one habit. Just one. Make it so incredibly simple that you can actually do it on your absolute worst, most stressful, exhausting day. Then stay with it for 30 days. Protect that tiny daily promise to yourself as if your life depends on it. And finally, just observe, learn, and grow. Watch the clever excuses your mind creates, face the difficult, messy middle, and feel the profound shift in your own identity as you finally prove to yourself what you're truly capable of.
We arrive at the end of this journey with one final, lingering thought for you to carry into your day. What happens when you finally stop waiting for the fleeting, highly unreliable spark of motivation, and instead, you start deeply trusting the quiet, unshakable bedrock of discipline? What happens when you realize that you possess absolutely everything you need right now to become the person you are meant to be? You may not become a completely different person in 30 days, but you will undoubtedly become a stronger, more trusting, and more grounded version of yourself. Thank you so deeply for staying through this emotional journey with us. Keep your promises to yourself, and we'll warmly see you next time.